The tools you have in Photoshop are very powerful. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some of the most important ones. Now, the tools that we're going to be looking at today are the ones that have helped me the most in my Photoshop journey. And I've used these tools in almost all of my projects. So what I'm going to show you now is how to find these tools in Photoshop and what exactly they can do. So let's get started. So here we are in Photoshop, and I already created a blank template for us to work on. That way we can get straight into the demonstration. So the first thing you want to note is that your tools are on the left-hand side of your Photoshop interface. Over here, all of these are your tools, and if you hover over them, you get the name of the tools and shortcut keys for the tools. So this one is the elliptical marquee tool, and the shortcut is the letter M, as you can see there on screen. So when you click on each tool, you'll notice that the toolbar on top changes, meaning this area up here changes according to whatever tool you're using. So each tool has its own toolbar up top. Another thing you'll notice is that the tools have a little arrow on the bottom right hand corner, and this just means that there are different variations to each of the tools. So if I hold down on the arrow, you'll see that for this tool right here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different options. So the first tool we're going to be looking at today is the move tool. And the move tool just allows you to move an element around in your template. Let me turn this on. And my move tool is already selected. The shortcut for that is the letter V, and you can simply click on an element and just move it around within your template. And the next tool we're going to be looking at is the second one in our list, which is our marquee tool. And what the marquee tool allows you to do is to make a selection area by just clicking and dragging. And with this area selected on your template, you can even change the color of just this portion alone. See? It's not affecting anywhere else in my template because that's all I selected. You can even change the shape of your marquee tool to a circle, as we mentioned earlier, because there's an arrow there that gives you additional options, and you can make a circle right here by clicking and dragging and do the same thing. Now the next tool in our list is our lasso tool, and the lasso tool works similarly to the marquee tool in that it allows you to make a selection within your template. So if I were to go like this, to click and move around in whatever shape I want, or just by freehand drawing, it would create the selection based on what I just drew. Let me undo that, and you have another option, which is a polygonal lasso tool, and with that you can make shapes, and you can make whatever custom shapes you want, and when you're finished with your shape, it will give you a selection based on the shape you just made. There we have it, and what I can do is to just work within that selection area or modify an image based on that selection area that I just made. And the next one on our list is our magic wand tool, or quick select tool. And what this allows us to do is to quickly select an area on our image or template. See, it selected the area that I just dragged the mouse over. Let me just do that again. Let's do it over this side. See, it just quickly selects this area right here. And if I were to work on this image, I can either delete this area by clicking delete on my keyboard, or paint it with a color. See? So the quick select tool does exactly as the name says. See that? And the next tool on our list is our crop tool, and everybody knows what it means to crop, right? If you want to change the amount of your image area that's visible, you can just crop it down. See that? I just made this image a whole lot narrower. Or if I wanted to make it a whole lot wider, I could just drag out the areas to get a wider image. All right. Next on our list is our eyedropper tool. And with this, I can just pick a color from any area on my image. You can see when I pick the color, it changes right here. See that? It changed. See, this changed. And you can use these colors that you pick if you want to type within a particular color to match something on your image, etc., etc. It's pretty straightforward, not much to worry about. Next on our list is our spot healing brush, and what this does is heals a spot in your image. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is just zoom in a bit and just heal this spot on my face by just clicking, and you see that spot disappeared. Let's do it for one of these pimples. See that? And this is one of the best applications for this tool. If you're working on an image of someone and their face have little bumps in it, you can just zoom in really close and just use a spot healing brush to just remove these pimples or whatever imperfections there is. Just remove them one by one. It's a little bit tedious, and I recommend zooming all the way in. That way whatever changes you make won't be necessarily visible when you zoom back out. See that? Let me show you what it was like before. Look at this area right here. All right, that's the before. This is the after. Before, after. Not too bad, right? Next on our list is our brush or pencil tool. And how that works is just like a physical paintbrush or a physical pencil. You just select the tool, choose a color that you like, and just start painting. So if I were to paint like a scene by a lake, let's choose blue, and just this would be my lake, you know, similar to like Microsoft Paint. And I will pick like brown for like a tree, and then green for the, and then let's do the sun. So it's like Microsoft Paint within Photoshop. So you can literally paint or draw by using this tool if you want. Literally paint or literally draw, based on whatever you like. Next on our list is our eraser tool, and everybody knows what an eraser does. So we're going to select our eraser tool, and we're just going to erase our beautiful scene that we just painted. And you see, it's just literally erasing everything like how a physical eraser would operate. And you can even soften the eraser brush by right-clicking and just dragging this hardness slider all the way down. We've done that in some of our previous tutorials, and then you can just see that it's not as harsh as if it were at 100%. Let's go back to 100% hardness by right-clicking. And this is how it will just take a chunk out of your work. All right, let's erase all of this. And that's your eraser tool. The eraser tool also has a background eraser tool option, and you can use this to just erase the background of any image. But I don't really like using this because if there isn't a clear distinction between the background and your subject, then it may take a chunk out of your subject, and that's not what you want. So let me show you what I mean right here. So I'm going to erase the background of this image. And as you can see, it started taking some out of my face right here in this area, because there's not a clear distinction right here as there is up here. See, it's not that harsh. And you can see it didn't clearly erase everything. Let's try it over the next side. You can see it's getting rid of the background, and it just took a chunk out of my shirt. This is not the tool that I like to use for removing background. I like to use the lasso tool by just clicking and then just moving along an image as I'd like, just to delete whatever portion of it I like. And then I will just select and then just press delete, and you see this looks much better than say this. What I just did would take more time with the lasso tool, but that's just how I personally prefer to remove a background from an image. We have our paint bucket or gradient tool, and we can literally use our paint bucket tool to just splash some paint against our template like that. If you wanted to change the color, you can just pick a color and just splash against it. Literally, it works just as how a physical bucket of paint would work if you were to throw it against your wall. So see, whatever color you pick just works like that. And the paint bucket tool also has a gradient option. If you click and hold, you'll get a gradient option, and what the gradient will do is make a gradient, meaning that it will start out with one color and then graduate to the second color based on how you select your gradient. All right, let me show you what I mean. So right now I have the green and the white selected here, and if I were to use the gradient tool by dragging, you see it started out green and then it slowly graduated to white. Let's pick two different colors here. Let's do orange, and let's do maybe green, and let's do it again. See that? If you were to do it up and down, whatever direction you choose. And as we mentioned earlier, there are different tool options up top. You can change how the gradient works, whether it's a circle in the middle So that's how your gradient tool or paint bucket tool works. And the next tool that we're going to be looking at is our blur and sharpen tool that's just below the gradient and paint bucket tool. And let me show you how it works on my image here. Let me zoom in. And what you can do is literally just blur an area of your image. See that? It's blurring my eyes out. I'm just clicking and moving my mouse over the area. See, let me undo that. Control and the Z on my keyboard, and you see. So this is what it was before. And then when I blurred it, that's what it looked like. Blurred, not blurred. Blurred, not blurred. And you can do the same thing by clicking and holding for sharpen tool. So if I were to just click and rub over the image with the sharpen tool, you can see that the image area is getting really sharp. Let me undo and show you what it looked like before. That's what it looked like before without the sharpen tool used on it. And this is what it looked like with the sharpen tool. So that's with, without, with, without. All right. Next on our list, we have our dodge, burn, and sponge tool. And what dodging does is it makes an area of your image lighter. If I were to click, you can see my face is getting brighter. What burning does is it makes an area of your image darker. See that? And what sponging does, it can either add or remove color from your image. Look at what it's going to do to my face. It's going to make my face really saturated. See that? It's going to just make everything on your image really, really saturated. Or you can come up top, change the mode of the sponge to desaturate, and it will remove all the color. See that? It does the complete opposite. So that's your dodge, burn, and sponge tool. Next on our list, we have our pen tool. And a pen in Photoshop works like a physical pen. You can use it to draw, or you can use it to write. So I'm just drawing some letters. I'm just drawing, just drawing, just drawing, just drawing. See, so it's pretty much straightforward, because it's just that versatile. You can also use a pen tool to draw a custom shape and make a selection from that custom shape. A selection similar to what you would do with your MARQUEE tool or your LASSO tool. Next on our list, we have our type tool, and everybody knows what the type tool does, right? You type with it. You can even type vertically if you want. See that? And that's basically the type tool. And as I said earlier, you have tool options on top. If you wanted to change the size of your font or change the type of font that you're using based on what you have on your computer. If you wanted to change the color, you have all kinds of options that you can work with based on whatever you feel like doing. You can even increase the spacing between the letters within your text by increasing the tracking. My tracking is over here on the right hand side, and it's at 160. And if I were to change this number to say 350, you can see there are more spaces in between my letters. If I were to decrease it, you can see that the letters are coming closer and closer together, a little bit too close for comfort. Next on my list is my shape tool, and this is one of my favorite tools. So I'm just going to select it here, or I could have hit U on my keyboard. You see the shortcut there, and I could just click and drag an ellipse or hold the shift to get a perfect circle. There, I can do whatever size I want. That's what I want. Let me change it to a rectangle and do a rectangle. Let me change it even more and do a rounded rectangle. There we have it. And I can change the roundness of my edges by going over to my right hand side and just increasing this to like 50. And you can see that my edges are much more rounded. You can even do custom shapes by coming back over to the tool, clicking and choosing custom shape, then right clicking within your template and choosing whatever you want. Let's do a puzzle piece, and we're clicking and dragging. There we have a puzzle piece. Let's do a different one. Let's do a rabbit. There we have a rabbit. Let's do a different one. Oh, let's do the restroom sign, or no, let's do the disabled sign. See that? These are custom shapes that are loaded within Photoshop by default, but you can also download more shapes or buy more shapes based on what your needs are. And you can change the color of your shapes by just clicking on the layer you want to change the color of. This is my rabbit layer. Let's just double click on it in the bottom right hand corner, and you get a pop-up box, and you can just change the color to whatever you want. Next, we're looking at our hand tool, and this is if you were zoomed in all the way on your screen looking at your image, you would just click the hand tool. That way you can move around within your image and see the different areas of the elements in your image. If you wanted to work on it really zoomed up, I don't, but maybe you do. Next on my list is my zoom tool, or the magnifying glass tool right here. And what that does obviously is allows you to zoom in on whatever area of your image you choose. And up top you have some tool options that says 100%, fit screen, or fill screen. And right now I want to let my template fit my screen, and that's what just happened. The next thing I want to show you is our foreground and background color that's right here. These two colors, that's what we've been working from today. If you want to change these, you can just click and you'll get a color picker box, and you just mix whatever color you want to choose. Or you can pick from up here, which are your swatches, these little boxes with colors here. That's another important tool and option to note. And if you wanted to just use these two colors within your project and not having to click on it and change it all the while, you can just hit the letter X on your keyboard, or this little arrow right here. See that? And it will interchange the colors between the foreground and background color. See that? Good. The last tool that we want to look at on our toolbar is our screen mode tool. This last one here, you can click that and it changes your screen mode. See that? And you can click it one more time to go in full screen mode. You'll get a prompt. Don't show again. Let's go full screen. That's full screen. And you can come out of this full screen mode by hitting the escape key on your keyboard, or hitting the shortcut for the screen mode, which is F on your keyboard, and it will just cycle through the screen modes. I'm just pressing F on my keyboard right now. The next thing I want to show you is our rulers and guides. Here is your ruler up here on top, and on the left hand side that shows you your height and width of your project. And from these rulers you can click and drag out guides, and these guides will just give you some kind of uniformity when you're designing your project. You know, if you don't want your design to go outside of a particular area, you can just use these guides. Earlier I went over the swatches, which is just this box of colors right here that you can pick from. Whatever color you need. You can even change the type of colors that are in here by clicking on this menu item and then just choosing a different set of colors and clicking OK, and it will change. As you can see, let's choose another one, choose Windows, OK, and these are your different options that you have to choose from. And if you reset, it will go back to the default. This is what was there before, so we're good. Those are your swatches. The next thing we want to look at is our layers. Layers are your best friend. They are over here on the right hand side. All of these are your layers, and if you look, you see the tab right here says layers, and you can treat these like a deck of cards. Whatever you want to be on top, you just bring it to the top of the deck. If I want this black circle to not be on top as it is right now, I can just click it and just drag it down, drag it down, drag it down, and now it's not on top. If I want my image to be on top, I can just drag it all the way to the top, and now it's above everything else. You can group layers. All of these that I have here are in a group, and if I just collapse the group and turn it off, everything disappears, right? That's how your layers work. And all the way below your layers to the bottom on this little strip right here, you can link layers. If you want to link two layers together, that way wherever you move one layer, the other moves with it. Let me just show you real quick. So let's say I want to link the blue rabbit and the puzzle piece, right? I just select them and then I hit link layers, and if I were to select just the orange puzzle piece, wherever I move it, as you can see, I only have it selected over here. Wherever I move it, you can see that the rabbit is going with it. You have other options like layer effects. You can add layer masks. You can add adjustment layers. You can group layers, as I mentioned earlier. Add new layers. You see, as I click the add new layer button, it's creating new layers and assigning numbers to them. and then you can delete layers by just clicking on this trash can, and you'll get a prompt. Yes, yes, yes. And one final important thing that I want to show you guys is always having your properties tab open. My properties tab is over the right hand side here, and by default it's not open in Photoshop, so you have to go window up top and then properties. So window and then properties. See, it reappears. That way everything you're working on, whether it be shapes or text, you can make adjustments over here on the right hand side without having to go up top to your tool options. This is always there, and the properties automatically change based on whatever type of layer you're working on. So it helps you to design much quicker and seamlessly. Remember that Photoshop is insanely powerful and there's almost no limit to what you can use it to do. All it takes is a little practice and you'll get better at it with each project. I really hope you found this breakdown helpful. Remember to click like and leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Cjam, and I will see you guys in the next video.